What are some main do's and don'ts of the resume? We've covered several of them in passing, but the chats I'm getting have to do with what the right length is, whether you need a general resume or specific resumes depending on the situation. I'm sure there are other things that we could name here, but why don't we kind of anticipate what those things are and lay out for everyone what are some of the main do's and don'ts of the resume? Don, starting with you.
Okay, so you don't want a 20-page resume, and you don't want a one-page resume. This is one of those situations where somebody out there, and I wish I knew who he or she was, is apparently making rules for the rest of us. So use just your common sense. A one-page resume for a 30-year career makes no sense. A 20-page resume, irrespective of how old you are, makes no sense. So 2, 3, even sometimes onto 4 pages is perfectly okay. It's more about viewing the resume through a marketing lens. There needs to be an executive summary up top. It's almost like the inside jacket cover of a book. You want to tell people what you're going to tell them, and then you're going to tell them what you are going to tell them, and then you're going to tell them what you told them. So do an executive summary, a value proposition, 4 or 5 accomplishments with metrics, and we recommend 20 plus keywords. That all precedes your education, precedes your experience. The experience should tell a story for each job. Why were you hired? What did you do to address those needs? And what did you accomplish? It has to be chronological. At the end of your experience, you put your education. Even if you graduated from an Ivy League school, you don't put that on page 1, you put it at the back end. So there's a design element. We recommend using color in the resume because we view it as a marketing piece. But I will also mention that we don't think that a resume is any longer enough. We believe you need a separate document when you're interviewing and another document when you're networking, all designed to meet those needs. The resume is designed to do one thing and one thing only, and that's to get you noticed and invited in for interviews. If people are looking at your resume and you're not getting interviews, once again, we found the enemy. It's probably the document you're using, whether it's the resume or LinkedIn profile.
Awesome. Andrea, what can you add to what Don has shared?
Well, what he's sharing is important, and thinking about it in terms of when I talk to people, I typically tell them, I talk about the amount of time that people actually spend looking at resumes, and then also that your resume should more broadly do 3 things. It should have some sizzle, a little bit of curb appeal, something that's going to capture their attention. So that's why using color in the resume is important. The second thing is that it should really communicate your value. So if that's your executive statement or your value proposition up at the top, that helps to communicate your value. And the third one is strategic construction. You want someone to be able to read through the entire document with the amount of time that you have, that they have actually to devote to looking at it. So if it's constructed strategically, it has some metrics, it's going to tell someone from the moment you look at it, what it is that this person is good at doing and what's the impact that they can make, because you only have a short period of time to make that impact, so strategic construction is important. People don't typically like to, read the biography of someone they don't know. They want to have impact. They want to see how someone can solve the problem that they have. And the sooner that you can set that out in your resume and the more, metrics that you can add to it and be solution focused, the better you are.
Okay. Debbie, I want to hear from you as well, but both Don and Andrea, you've mentioned color in the resume, and the chat / pushback I'm getting right now goes something like this. I'm a high-level executive. Isn't this stuff for lower-level people? I bet you guys hear that a lot. Tell me why that's not true.
Are you addressing me, Debbie?
No, let's start with Andrea, who
Okay.
was second to bring up including color in the resume. Let's hear what your response is to that concern.
I think that, I'm conservative around it. I don't think that you should have, 5 colors with flowers, etc. But I think that what you want to do is guide the eye. So when I talked to you before about having block paragraphs, that people don't read them, the point of your resume is to reflect the content of what you've done, certainly, but also to guide the reader through the document. Have the things that you want to show impact around be impactful, and using that with 2 colors is a great way to do that. I mean, I showed someone a resume that we had created yesterday, in fact, and she could not stop raving about it. And it was 2 colors, and it really moved you from what the value proposition was to what each role was to the dates that were. You can highlight what it is that you want. It gives you an opportunity to control the message on the page when you use a little bit of color to highlight it.